One thing about me is that I am obsessed with the undersea fiber optic cables that connect the internet. I bet you're thinking, oh, Annie, cool microphone. You're so wrong. This is an undersea fiber optic cable. I can't believe you thought this was a microphone. This bad boy looks like sushi. It's the girth of a sushi roll, and yet it can transmit 200 terabits of data every second. That's like all of Wikipedia 250 times every second. And there's 486 of these in the world. They send little pulses of light through the fiber optic cables. It's literally crazy if you think about it too much.
Good morning, sweet world, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network, a fine network. It's Wednesday, October 5th, 2022. I'm J.E. Skeets back in the Classic Factory with all the boys a-buzzing. Alongside me, as always, we got Tass Mellis.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Tassie. Next to him, it's the bearded one, my top shot hot boy, Trey Kirby.
Hey-o.
Hey-o. To my right, the international man of mystery, taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Friend.
And over yonder, making the magic happen, JD.
Oops, wrong one. Where am I? Here I am. Hello.
There he is.
Hello. Too many buttons.
Shout out to the stream team for joining us live right now on YouTube. You absolutely love to see it. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, share the show, comment away in the stream team. On today's pod, we're going to debate our best bets when it comes to the over-under win totals in the Eastern Conference. But check out Monday's show if you're a Western Conference sicko. We did all 15 teams there, had a blast doing that, and at the end sort of locked in our three favorite bets each when it came to the over-unders. That's the Western Conference. It's in your podcast feed. You've probably already listened or watched it, so thank you. But we are doing the East today. But speaking of shows we've already done, check out yesterday's No Breaks. Trey and Graydon breaking down the very weird Singapore GP from this past weekend. No Breaks has its own podcast feed, its own YouTube feed. But the best part of this podcast was the guys debating times it's okay to piss your pants. You know, maybe in a race car, being one of them. Maybe running a marathon. Maybe in the
Long
ocean.
endurance sports.
Yeah.
Oh, in the ocean, you should be. It's encouraged.
Yeah, I agree.
How about if we're doing a 4-hour podcast, though?
Yeah.
Like on a happy hour, you're probably leaving to go to the bathroom, but nowadays, you don't want to miss a joke. Let it go.
Nowadays.
I don't know. That's up for debate. Let us know. Is it okay to piss your pants during a marathon podcast?
Yeah, well, let's not talk about it too much because in these, basically during any podcast these days,
Leah's running out during a break.
Yeah.
I'm drinking water.
Yeah.
I'm going during the break, so I think we've got some canned ads, so I might get a little chance.
Okay.
Speaking of the can.
Yeah, exactly. Before we get to our over-under win totals in the East, some NBA news. I'll just throw it at you guys again here. Westbrook, by all accounts, still could be traded from the Lakers. That's the latest from the team at The Athletic. We had a bunch of stars return to action over the last couple days, talking Kawhi Leonard, Ben Simmons, Jamal Murray, list goes on and on and on. The NBA GMs, they see the Bucks as title favorites and an MVP award for Luka. I'm, of course, talking about our guy Schumann's annual GM survey that gets everybody riled up.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like 10 years ago, it wasn't getting the buzz it gets now. So kudos to Schumann and the team over at NBA and all the GMs for firing, I guess, their hot takes off.
Yeah, nowadays you can pee your pants and read the GM survey and get really riled up about it.
You're right. And the last piece of news, and I would like to address this if you watched the highlights, maybe you even watched the game last night, Victor Wembanyama and Scoot Henderson matchup. I mean, their potential, look, your locks for 1-2 probably in next year's draft. What'd you think of those highlights?
Well, Wembanyama, first off, I mean, stepping into threes like he did, blocking shots, he's 7'4", he was bringing the ball up. I mean, if he's able to become an NBA talent, he might be the greatest player we've ever seen.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, like, to do what he was doing.
I know, it's crazy to watch.
I don't think even Porzingis and Dirk is another big guy. I don't think anyone's had a smooth shot that big that I can ever think of. So he looks incredible.
He gets taller every time someone talks about him.
Yeah, it's gone like from 7'2" to 7'3".
He's 7'4",
7'4", they're saying.
Yeah.
I think in shoes, that's what he's listed as. Yeah.
I see a listed 7'2" sometimes. I don't know. It's changing. But we got some legit reports from standing right beside him. Johnny Hollinger of the Athletics saw a good old 7'2", 7'3" barefoot.
Yeah, so that's why he's 7'4", probably. Yeah.
Well, they are actually measuring NBA players nowadays. They are actually measuring NBA players properly before the season. because they used to add on an inch, but now, guys lost inches. Like, for instance, Boban Marjanovic, speaking of monsters, he used to be 7'4" and dropped to 7'3". So we'll see. Legitimately, next year, when he gets drafted by the San Antonio Spurs, most likely, or one of those teams, we'll get a legit height.
Well, that's
whatever
why whoever's measuring should have to be the same person each year and the same height, because maybe Hollinger's dropped an inch, and that's why,
Okay. Trey, can you
to get the ruler on top of his head?
Trey, can you talk about the actual game that we saw between these guys last night? These guys are caught up in the measurements.
It's incredible to see him moving the way he does at whatever height he might be. To see somebody move, like if he was moving that well at the age he is, and he was 6'9", people would be like, this guy's a surefire all-star in the NBA, and he's doing it at 7'2" plus. It's incredible. 37 points, 5 blocks last night. He's clearly the number one prospect, and he had an incredible line about Scoot Henderson. He's like, he's a great player. He'd be the number one draft pick if I wasn't born.
Yeah.
Bars.
Yeah, I know.
Absolutely, but
And he's right, because Scoot Henderson looked awesome last night, and explosive guy.
No doubt. And that's a good archetype for the NBA, a super explosive guard, but those come around every once in a while, and you don't see a prospect like Wembanyama all the time. He's the best and most hyped prospect since LeBron. So 20 years of basketball. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Incredible. Check the highlights if you haven't, at the very least. There's like a 7 or 8 minute, it deserved the epic duel headline that the NBA YouTube went with, because it was both of the highlights. Like, Scoot Henderson's hitting step backs over this giant, and he tacked him at the rim a couple times.
Couple nice finishes.
Beautiful finishes. And then, the highlights and the 3-pointers and blocks from Wembanyama is pretty amazing. So check those out. Okay. Over-under win totals by way of BetMGM. We're going to start with the Atlantic Division. I think it's the most talented division in the NBA. At least when you get to the odds, there's 3 teams here in this division that are over 50-plus wins, according to BetMGM and the over-win totals. And we'll start alphabetically in the Atlantic Division. The Boston Celtics, they had a quiet offseason, but 54.5 wins, obviously coming off a run to the championship, or to the title game, series, is what I'm trying to say. They were up 2-1, maybe had it, until Steph Curry said, no, I'll take that. But what do you think? 54.5 with what happened in the offseason, and Udoka not being there, and Robert Williams being injured, and all this.
Yeah, the highest over-under win total in the NBA here, the Boston Celtics, with 54.5. And I'm going over. I believe in this foundation. I believe that everything that's on the court will carry over from last year. It's an off-court problem. If you look at them compared to the Suns, who have more on-court problems, I think, with DeAndre Ayton continuing not to want to be there, with the fact Phoenix Suns lost by 50 points in their last game at home in a Game 7. That doesn't happen. I think the Celtics team is just, they're too rock solid to fall off. There are too many veterans for this not to work. And all guys who expect to win and act like it, like Al Horford and Marcus Smart, and 2 guys who still aren't even in their prime, which is unlike Phoenix. I think their best players in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown here are just not a fluke team. They're going to get better. Their issues are off the floor. And it's not a fluke team. 4 conference finals in the last 6 years. So I expect them to be great. I expect them to be a rock. They added another rock in Malcolm Brogdon, who is, I think, a championship-type player. And he will play really well with Brown and Tatum. I think he played well off the ball with Giannis, if you remember, in the Bucks days. This is a team that wants to win. And I might be getting a little deep here with my Boston Celtics analysis, but I saw this tweet from Taylor Snow about in 1985-86 that they added Bill Walton right before the season. Another big man redhead, like they just added Blake Griffin, a former number 1 pick. Now, obviously Bill Walton, MVP, a lot more accolades than Blake Griffin, but he was a spark on that Celtics team. Blake is there to be a spark as well. He's going to be diving for balls. I think this roster is just too good. I think the Ime Udoka, as much as it was a distraction the last couple months, when you get in the locker room, I think they'll be good. 54.5 is a lot. It's a big number for sure, but I'm going over just because I think this team can grow.
What do you think, Lee?
Yeah, I actually agree. I think Joe Mazzulla, who the coach is, he doesn't really have to do anything other than just like, hey, Tatum and Brown, we know they're your stars. Marcus Smart, he's going to play both ways. And then Brogdon is really what they were missing, I think, last season. Smart filled in as a point guard, but I don't feel he's a true point guard. The Broggy Dog will be able to do that. So they're going to be solid. Jason Tatum already, he has such a playoff resume that he knows he can just go out there. And when he's a good two-way player, I don't think the Udoka stuff will be a significant distraction once they get out there on the court. And remember, they started off bad last season, 19-21. And then they finish strong. So, yeah, 54 and a half, you said. Yeah, I mean, it is a lot, but I think after the Bucks, they're probably the second best team in the East for me. So I've got them winning about 56 to 57. I'll take the over.
Trey?
I'm going to go for the under here, actually, because I just think the number is a little bit too big. They could hit 54 wins, go under, and still win the Eastern Conference. The Heat took the 1 seed last year with 53 wins, and it seems like the East is going to be a little bit better this year. I think they're still going to be a streaky team like we saw last year, starting 19 and 21 through the first 40 and then turning it on in the second half of the season. They're going to be starting this year. No Robert Williams III, who's key to their defense, I think. We're actually going to see Blake Griffin play real minutes just because of the lack of size up front for the Celtics. I don't know if Taylor tried to find a picture where he looked the most like Bill Walton possible, but
that's pretty good.
Fairly impressive.
Pretty close,
yeah, like
yeah.
they both had their mouth open and smiling. You can see their red curls. That's nice. But I think they are going to get full seasons, whatever kind of a season you get from Malcolm Brogdon. He's a guy who's missed time in the past. Derek White is obviously around for the entire season this year, so they could be better than they were at the end of the year last year. I do think the Udoka thing is going to be a little bit of a hindrance at the start of the season. As they get further and further into the year, they'll get better and better, just like they did last year. But I think there's a chance they struggle out of the gate, and I think there's a chance that it takes a while till they really find their stride. So the Celtics are a championship contender, but I'm just going under because 55 wins is a lot of wins.
Yeah, I'm signing with you, Trey. I also think, Marcus Smart won Defensive Player of the Year, but we always talked about it sort of was a team award, given to him as the leader. But Robert Williams, I mean, he might miss 2 months of action here, maybe more, with this guy having 2 surgeries on his knee, and he is so important. So, can he get back? What's he look like when he's back? Can the defense be elite still without him? Al Horford is incredible. He played amazing last year. Can he do it for another season in heavy minutes as sort of the backbone at the back of that defense? I question a little bit. So I just go under 2. I think they're still going to be contenders. I think when Robert Williams comes back and hopefully he's healthy, they'll be great. But I think it's a high number with all these other teams that we'll get to here that are going to be flirting with 50 to 55 wins, just like the Celtics. And
the 50 flirt. There's going to be a lot of 50
There's going to be a lot of
flirters.
50 flirts in the East. And could the suspension from Udoka be a distraction at the start or all season long? I mean, we're brushing it off like it's no big deal, but then that's sort of discrediting how he got these guys to buy in. Remember, they started so slowly, and then he basically called out his star players, him and Smart, and that sort of kicked them into gear, and they started playing defense. So, I'll go just under.
I'm looking forward to watching the big man rotation as a basketball geek, because Al Horford might play the 5, but then they don't have a lot of depth. Blake Griffin at the end of his career, Luke Cornett. They may go Jason Tatum at the 5 at some points, and I think they're good enough on the perimeter, as we saw what they did with the Brooklyn Nets that we'll talk about right now. How they took away Durant and were so good on the perimeter that they can manage to cover up some of the stuff that Robert Williams is so good at. And it's unfortunate. Who knows when Robert Williams comes back? As you said, he played through an injury last year. This team just guts it out, and I think they learned something about themselves in the second half that's going to carry over.
Brooklyn Nets. 50 and a half.
Who's going over?
Line.
Yeah.
Is anybody going to go over?
way.
Nobody can pick the
No
over
way.
on this.
You can't.
No way.
I don't believe in this team at all. The way you talk about off-season distractions.
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin Durant, he didn't want to be there. He asked to be traded at his press conference on media day. He was like, "I know I'm so good. You're not just going to give me away." But look, he's a baller. He's going to go out there and play hard, and he's going to try to win. But I think there's way too many, just again, internal chaos with that team and that franchise. Kyrie Irving, we know he doesn't want to be there. They'll trade him if they can get something back for him. But so far that hasn't happened. And Ben Simmons, I mean, we saw the complete contrast in his game the other night. He's great when he's in transition. He can run and dunk. Anything else? Well, he passed out of the post okay, but the shot, there's nothing there for a shot. People are saying, well, he doesn't need to shoot or he doesn't need to score. I've said this before. If I'm scouting and I'm playing against the Nets, I'm like, Ben Simmons is not even going to have a defender on him. I'm just going to double up on Kevin Durant because I'm going to say, you can shoot all you want and you can even drive inside. We'll just foul you if you get inside too often. And he won't want to do that. So I see him as a big weakness out there for the Nets, and I just don't think they can get it together. I don't think they don't want Steve Nash there as the coach. Kevin Durant said he wanted him fired. So how they can sort of, get it all together with all that sort of stuff going on, all those other, and you just don't know what Kyrie's going to do as well. He's just going to take off.
You should avoid this line like the play.
Yeah,
totally. Well,
44 wins
Why
last
is it
year.
so high though?
Yeah,
It's
50,
so high.
50 and a half now. I've got them well under.
Well,
Yeah,
wow.
I don't believe in them at all.
Okay. Okay. What do you think? You agree that you're going under?
Yeah, I'm going under. I mean, you could talk yourself into an over, obviously. You just listen to those names. They're so good. You can start looking at them on paper and then start to convince yourself this team can win 51 games. KD needs to hoop. It's in his blood. If Kevin Durant is out there hooping, he will be. This team will be good.
Yeah.
if he's out there. He was injured for a good part of the year. They were number one in the conference for a good chunk of the year until whatever the date was. It was January 20th or somewhere around there. He got hurt. Things fell off. But it's like the casual fan that nobody wants to buy in. Nobody wants to buy into this team with the roller coaster that they took us on. But you can talk yourself into it because Kyrie's in a contract year. He said last year cost him 4 years and $100+ million.
Yeah.
He probably wants to get that back. Ben Simmons will guard the other team's best player. They're going to be better defensively. Then you can start talking about Ben Simmons at the 5, even with this team, and get excited about. He loved that in Philadelphia. He had that monster game where Embiid was out and he was playing the 5 past the shooters on this team like Joe Harris, Seth Curry, Patty Mills. You can talk yourself into it.
You know, they also traded for Royce O'Neal.
I'm not talking.
You're not going to?
Honestly, you just talked me into it. I'm going over. Why not? Somebody's got to swerve here. I'll go over on the Nets. Like you're saying, Kevin Durant, when he's healthy, one of the 3 best guys in the NBA. Hopefully they get 60 to 65 games from him, and hopefully they get 60 to 65 games of Kyrie Irving in a contract year wanting to play, because the squad they've built around these two, pretty solid. And you look back to the 2021 season when they had decent health, they played at a 55-win pace. Yeah, sure. It ain't going to be a lock, but I'll do it. You talk me into it.
Don't put real money on it.
No.
On this show, you're
$3.
going over. I think I'm with you, Trey, because I was going to say, like, they did trade for Royce O'Neal. You have guys coming back shooters, and Joe Harris specifically, you know, from injury. They got Seth Curry, of course, in the trade with Ben Simmons. There's another shooter. They signed T.J. Warren. Remember him?
Yeah.
You know, is there any bubble Warren left in him? Markieff Morris is there 1 year. Edmund Sumner. They re-signed Patty Mills, Claxton, Kessler Edwards. This is good, deep team.
Yuta Watanabe, perfect role player.
Man, like, yeah. If Durant is your star player and plays, he's one of the 5 guys in the league that it's like, you feel good they're a 50-win team if he just plays the majority of your games. But, man, does Steve Nash last a month? You know, if they get off to a slow start, Nash is gone.
Well,
They'll have to be.
Yes. It depends, I guess, on how that unfolds, because Joe Tsai was adamant, like, no, Sean Marks and Steve Nash are our guys. I don't think he's going to press the trigger button unless it's like a 12-game losing streak.
Sure.
Like if they're about 500 or so like that, he probably wants to sort of show a bit of faith. But as we've said before, if you're Steve Nash, what's he even doing there still? You know, he's got the World Cup in Qatar. I'm surprised he's not going to head out there in November. But look, the thing with Kevin Durant, obviously he's still a great player, but we definitely saw him look as sort of weak as he ever looked in the playoffs against the Celtics. They really harassed him into a terrible series as far as shooting the ball and turning it over.
But it was the Celtics. They were like the best defense we had seen in a long time. So
and it was, you don't
have to see them every night.
No, but teams can probably sort of say, hey, listen, Kevin Durant lost control of the ball a lot more than we've ever seen before. And also, remember last year when he was playing heavy minutes and he's like, I don't care, I'm going to go and play it there until I can't. And then he missed like 6 weeks just after that. So health is a real concern with him. Mm-hmm. He missed that with the Achilles after the finals against the Raptors. He missed the entire season. I think he played 55 games in the end last season. So some concerns there with his durability at this age.
Okay, well, we're split on this one as well. It's Tass and Lee versus Trey and I right now when it comes to our bets for the first 2 teams there in the Atlantic Division. But yeah, that one's insane. All right, our next one. The New York Knicks, bing bong, 39.5. Twitter was buzzing last night. Jalen Brunson scored and they went nuts. They were like, yes, we got a point guard. Finally. But 39.5, you know, not even a 500 squad. Is that too low? Where you go with?
Well, they only won 37 last year, so they're a better team than they were last year. I think yes, because I think RJ Barrett, they gave him a bag. Yeah. I think he is a better player. I think he's going to be better. And Brunson should improve them. So, you know.
And Randall, he can't be worse, can he? Like, he has to come back to the
and that's
the
thing
bit.
is that's the thing. If you balance out the last 2 seasons, it's probably about, a decent team. They played above expectations 2 years ago and below them last year. So if they can hit the middle this year, they'll get that 30, what did we say, 39.5. So, give me a 40-win team for the Knicks. I'll go half a game over here. I sort of want them to be better. Because they started off so well, literally I think the first 3 games last year they were really good and then the wheels fell off a bit. But I think RJ Barrett is in for a good season. And and Brunson should improve them. So
You're hitting the over.
give me the over by half a game.
Just.
Yeah.
Tess?
Well, I believe in Brunson, and I'm starting to buy the RJ Barrett hype train. I'm getting on it. So if those two guys are good, I think that you've got a 500 team. And RJ Barrett said preseason, I think the Knicks will shock the world in media day. Well, 40 wins shocking the world?
Oh, God.
I guess. I mean, they were
40-42, man. We shot.
What? What?
But listen, Brunson's a rock. If RJ Barrett can be good, and I'm buying into what he did in the summer and buying into his confidence, he said he worked on his decision making with the ball, finishing in the paint, and free throws, according to our man Fred Katz. So he worked on his free throws. But that's the important part. No, the important part is that he didn't say he was working on a shot like everybody does. He was working on the things that RJ Barrett needs to be good at. And there's actually some proof in the pudding that he is going to be a driver and not just a three-point shooter, because that's not where he's going to be great. Last year,
Especially if he's not practicing.
yeah, that's true. But last year. This is shocking to me. He was great at driving from New Year's Eve through the end of the season. So 47 games. He took 7.7 shots per game at the rim. He went hard to the rim. Only LeBron, John Moran, and Giannis took more. That's great company. So if he is a driver and focused on that, and I'm buying the confidence that they're going to shock the world. If he's going to say that on media day, him and Brunson are rocks. As you said, Randall's probably got to be better. Mitchell Robinson and Fournier to round out the 5. A 40-win team, count me shocked. I think they'll go over.
I'm exactly the same. I think they're about a 500 team. I think having competence at the point guard position is going to be huge. I'm betting on Randall being somewhere between all NBA and all stink. And I mean, maybe we get the best Barrett we've seen. I feel like Canadians overrate him more than anybody else out there, or Canadian adjacent people like Zach Lowe. But I'm also in a little bit on RJ Barrett here. He's a little bit of a Jimmy Butler, and that's why he needs to work on his decision making and his passing, because Jimmy's a way better passer, but similar games in that they get to the line and don't want to take jumpers. That being said, RJ Barrett should be working on his three-pointers because they leave the guy wide open all the time. You got to make some of them. The main issue for me is that Tom Thibodeau is probably going to get in the way of this team. We're already seeing Evan Fournier start over Quentin Grimes, even though Quentin Grimes is preferred by the front office. That seems strange to me. We know that Tibbs is going to value veterans. Will he actually play Obi Toppin this year? It remains to be seen. I think that's an issue for the Knicks, but they should be able to win 40 or 41 games.
And they brought in Isaiah Hartenstein.
There we go.
There it is. Who Knicks fans are going to fall in love with. He is a solid role player. Good backup big there. He'll get some minutes, especially with Tibbs, I believe. Good point about if they got off to a slow start, would they move off of Tom Thibodeau?
Oh, yeah.
I think so.
He's on the hottest seat, I think.
You think so?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
I think
hottest.
I think so, because of the way things went down last season. And again, he's been there. This will be his third season. So now it's like, okay, he's had enough time. You know, I think they'll move on if they get off to a terrible start.
I'm going over as well. All four of us are going over on the Knicks. That's worrisome. But I guess we're saying they're about a 500 team. I really do, and I said this when the trade happened, or excuse me, the signing happened. Jalen Brunson, I equate it to sort of when the Raptors got Lowry back in the day. Like, just to have a competent, sort of hard-nosed point guard that is getting better, and really Brunson even younger than sort of Lowry was at that point, probably when he was going to the Raptors, because he kicked around there for a bit. I think that means a lot to the other guys on your team. Just to have some just some solidity there at that position will really help, and I think it's damn good too. And the contract is completely fine, so I like it. I'm going to go over. But they better not get off to a slow start, or Tibbs will be out of there.
And Mitchell Robinson is huge for them at both ends.
If he plays,
that's the problem. And
he's always hurt.
He's always hurt, and he sort of struggles to finish games. Like, his conditioning was bad last season. So if they can get 70 games out of Mitchell Robinson, then I think that's going to have a huge impact on their, especially defense, rebounding, contesting shots, blocking shots. Taj Gibson's not there anymore, so Tibbs won't be able to bring back his 45-year-old 6'6" backup center.
Don't cut him out.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I think he went somewhere else. Is he without a contract? Anyway,
no, Taj is on a team.
Yeah,
I'm drawing a blank on who right now.
Is that a weirdo case?
He's definitely on a team.
Detroit, maybe. Maybe he's part of that trade. I don't know.
Anyway, Mitchell Robinson, like I say, I just feel they just need his presence on the court at both ends, and he's just got to stay healthy.
Philadelphia 76ers. Another, according to BetMGM, team with an over-under win total of over 50, so 50 and a half. right there. Trey, get us started on this one. People are high on the Philadelphia 76ers.
I knew you were going to ask me. I knew you were going to, because I'm in on James Harden once again. Did you see how skinny he looked in front of that picture of Allen Iverson?
No, I missed it.
Oh, he's looking ripped, Tess. They always do like a James Harden last year and a James Harden this year. It looks the same every time, but I'm always like, he's trimmer somehow. Just from people saying it. I don't know. This is a potential 1 seed to me, though. I think they're going to win a ton of games in the regular season. Joel Embiid is obviously an MVP candidate, one of the top 3 choices. James Harden, even if he's not an MVP candidate, he makes things a lot easier for Embiid. They were really great in the pick and roll last year, and that was figuring things out mid-season. I like what they did depth-wise on the wing, adding Danuel House, adding PJ Tucker, DeAnthony Melton, all solid players who got that dog in them. You got Montrezl Harrell, one of the highest dog quotients in all of the NBA, and you've got the most improved player in the league this season, Tyrese Maxey. So I love what the Sixers are doing. The main concern is that we saw the best Embiid we've seen yet in his NBA career last season. He played the most games, he played the most minutes, he got very close to winning the MVP, and they barely hit the over last year. I'm counting on, though, a more settled team. Obviously, they don't have the Simmons thing hanging over them this year. They still got a trade chip in Matisse Thybulle that I think that they could move at some point to help even more. I'm in on the Sixers. I'm a clown.
Going
Feels
over.
good, yeah.
Going
Big time over. Big time over.
Big time over.
Yeah, this will be a lock for me.
Okay, 50 and a half. David Aldridge thinks they did have the best offseason in the NBA, and Trey just went through it all. Do you agree with that, and do you think they hit the over?
I think they're a lock for the over. They won 51 games last year, and they didn't have anywhere close to the support that they have this year. Who was their best player for the majority of last year? It was Tobias Harris without Ben Simmons, and then they got Harden for the last 20 games. Now they've got a full James Harden. They've got PJ Tucker. They've got DeAnthony Melton. I'm a fan of. That's a lot of support, and they've got more of an attitude. I think Joel Embiid said in the postseason when they lost to the Heat. Look at that team on the other side. PJ Tucker, I mean, he leads that team with an attitude. They go and get that guy, and so I think their locker room is going to be tough, and everybody wants to play with Joel Embiid. You saw it in the preseason. You had Doc Rivers mic'd up with James Harden. Listen, we got a pecking order here. We got to feed Embiid, and then it's you, and then it's everybody else. And so I think they know who they are. And PJ Tucker is going to come in and support those dudes. Like, how do they leave the locker room and not who they are? I think they know who they are every time they leave the locker room. That's a low number to me. And I understand maybe Embiid is a slightly less on the floor this year. Maybe he doesn't play as much, but he's the peak of his powers, and I think they get better defensively because Harden is a little healthier and because they've got other defensive-minded guys around them. So I think you'll get a more complete Embiid this year.
Talking about hot seat, I think Doc Rivers is on one as well there if they do get off to a slow start. But yeah, I think with Embiid on their team, I found this is the hardest one to sort of pick because I think they're at about where that line is, about 51 wins. Because Embiid can just do it all by himself. And I like Trey's point there about Tyrese Maxey. I think he could be the most improved. He was actually almost too good last year to make another huge leap this season, So he finished averaging 17 points a game. James Harden, look, I don't think he's got that ability anymore that he had in Houston where he was able to just run the entire game and go crazy. We saw it last year. He just didn't have that explosiveness for an entire game anymore. A couple of plays here and there, a couple of moments here, there, sort of throwbacks. But
he says it was because of injury, though.
Yeah, well, maybe not. I think
you see the pictures?
He's lost 100 pounds.
Yeah, he looks a lot skinnier.
Yeah, that's right.
But honestly, in the playoffs last year, he had a real chance to sort of, he'd had enough games and he was healthy enough, I'm sure, that he could have gone out there and done a little more. I didn't really see it. So, but I don't also think that that's a detriment to the team because they do have nice pieces around their main player, which is Joel Embiid. And so I think they're about there. I'll say I'll take the under just to sort of, because they can still win 49, 50 games, have a good season. I don't think they're any more than sort of 51, 52 win team anyway at best.
Okay, I'll just go over. I don't need to rehash everything you guys said. I love the offseason. I think ironically this could be Embiid's best chance to maybe win an MVP, and I think he'll try the least hardest to go get that, which he has over the last 2 years and talked about it a lot. And what I mean by that is if the Sixers have the best record in the East, or hell, maybe even the NBA, then people will go, whoa, maybe finally they'll give it to Embiid. It's a possibility. So I'll go just over for Philadelphia. Put me down for like a 53, 54 win season, but that would be over pretty comfortably. Final team in the Atlantic Division, the Toronto Raptors, task 46.5.
You're right. It's a deep division.
It's honestly
Stacked division.
it's loaded here. We're saying the
AL East.
I mean, everybody's saying the Knicks are a 500 team, and then we have 4 other teams that could be easily flirting with 50 wins. Where do you think of the Raptors, though?
Oh, they're gonna flirt with it, baby.
Yeah.
And this is an over. Lock it in. They have hit the over number on 10 of the last 11 seasons. That's what they do.
That's crazy.
They exceed expectations. Like Pascal Siakam, people might say, oh, he's a good player. He's a 2-time All-NBA player. He's healthy in his prime. Then you've got Van Vliet, who led the league last year in minutes played. He's not going to have to do that again. He tried to play through a knee injury because he's tough. He said he would do it again. But I think he's going to be smarter about it, as he said to Eric Green. And then you've got Scotty Barnes, who's only getting better. And they've got ridiculous depth behind those guys that they didn't have last year. Otto Porter Jr. coming over, a full Thad year, and Thaddeus Young. A developed Precious Achiuwa. People think he should start. And Chris Boucher, who's dropping 20 in your eye. This is a great regular season team.
Don't forget Bo Cruz. He's going to be a Raptors favorite.
If he plays, yes.
EuroLeague MVP.
That's right.
He was Eurobasket MVP. He for the final game.
Final.
Willie got the Eurobasket. His bro. This team is a great regular season team. 47. 47. I'm not going to say they're going to win the ship, but they're led by all-stars and a Scotty Barnes who, can help them take the next step if he's there. But I'm not going to. This is about the over/under. 47. Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
Trey?
48 wins last year, and they didn't get worse. So to me, it's an easy over for the Raptors here. They'll be flirting with 50, no doubt about it. I like that they got in on the summer of Wancho. Like, this is the time. Maybe they can ride that wave into the fall. They've just got a lot of good players. The only position I feel like that they don't have depth is point guard.
Yeah.
If Van Vliet goes down and misses serious time, then the Raptors will be in trouble. But Scotty Barnes can play make, Siakam can play make, and their big guys can facilitate a little bit. So, yeah, they got a great coach in Nick Nurse. They're bringing back basically everybody. They should pick up where they left off last year.
100% agree. I've got them winning 50 games. I think they are probably behind Boston as the best team in the Atlantic Division. Let's get down into it with the divisions
crap.
there.
All right.
Well, when you think about the other teams, Philly, Brooklyn, and New York, they're definitely better than those three, I think. But because I believe
They lost to Philly last year.
I know, but
knocked them out of the
couple of
playoffs.
injuries there, yeah.
mean,
but
I love the confidence,
but I do. Well, I like the continuity of this team.
Yeah, they're the same team. They
won
added
the
Otto Porter
championship.
Jr. and Wancho.
And they've gotten and they're going to get better because I think Scotty Barnes now he's going to have that sort of second year pressure. The scouting report's going to be different, but he plays both ways.
Yep.
He's a very, very good player, and I think Nick Nurse is a good coach. He gets a lot out of these guys. So I like the Raptors right now. I think it's way better almost in a situation like this where they didn't make any major changes. There was talk about the Kevin Durant stuff there, but there was no way Masai Ujiri.
There was talk about Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, but Masai Ujiri wasn't going to give up 2 of his assets to get one of those guys. I think he knows what he's got in this team. And again, a couple of vets. I thought Thad Young, when he came over last year, was really good. He's back there. So if they can get the same out of like an Otto Porter Jr., those are the sort of perfect role players to have. They only need to play 10, 12 minutes a night, mop up some minutes, and then have Pascal finish. If he starts a season where he finished last season, the Raptors will be
he was
very
injured
tough
at the start of last year. And
not playing well and
exactly.
stuff. But I like him. I like the Raptors.
Okay, well, I'm taking the over on the Raptors. Exactly. It's a no-brainer. I'm taking the over, but it sounds like they're probably one of your locks to look at.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, when I was looking at the numbers there, like 46.5 this year. They won 40. I'm surprised they're lower than last year.
I think that has to be because of all the other talented teams in the Eastern Conference. That's right.
Yeah.
And they're in a division with the Nets, who everybody's assuming they're going to have to be better than they were last year.
Yep.
So I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right. Well, we're all saying over on the Raptors. We were over on a lot of these teams in the Atlantic Division, so we'll see if it sort of balances out when we get to the other two. Let's take our first break. When we come back, we will get to the good old Central Division. The Bulls are back. Don't go anywhere.
So I was sitting around with my new softball teammates. We were just chatting, small talk. What do you do? Came up that I do a podcast. I'm in the sports realm. One guy perked up, got on the edge of his seat. It's like, okay. So who's the best sports media personality out there? I said, it's Stephen A. Smith.
Okay.
You have to respect him, love him, hate him. He is the creme of the creme. And this was before we received this ad copy about Stephen A's new podcast. I swear on my beer league softball career, that is true. And I don't know how he does it, but Stephen A is adding another show to his schedule. And it sounds very good. His new podcast is called No Mercy. That's KNOW Mercy. 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you'll hear Stephen A's unfiltered opinions on trending topics, front page news, and current events, as well as conversations with influential celebrities and thought leaders at the forefront of culture. He's got connections. And if there was something missing from Stephen A's portfolio, I think it's this.
Oh, absolutely right. You're totally right. I know you would never lie to your softball teammates. Stephen A. Smith, the cream of the crop.
Yes.
Exactly right. And now he's going to be the pod of the cast, it sounds like, because you turn on the mics, you turn on the camera. Doesn't matter what
Who's
he's talking
better?
about or who he's talking to, it's going to be gold.
It will be gold. A podcast where he can be even more open and transparent. No Mercy sounds good. Listen to No Mercy, a presentation of Cadence 13 and Odyssey Studio. Available now on the Odyssey app and anywhere you listen to your podcasts.
Back in the Classic Factory to the Central Division, over-under bets. When it comes to the win totals, we start with Trey Kirby's Chicago Bulls. 42.5 is the line. I forgot how hot the Bulls were last year. I mean, 39-21 at one point, finished 7-15 though down the stretch because they were banged up. A lot of injuries. Lonzo Ball only played in 35 games. Zach LaVine missed 15 games. Caruso was a big one. He missed half the season. Patrick Williams only played like 17 games. They didn't do a whole lot though in the offseason, signing the Dragon. Though it is House of the Dragon time right now on HBO. Yeah. They got Goran Dragic and Andre Drummond. And then their pick there at the 18th pick with Dalen Terry. Not a lot else, but so how do you feel about your Bulls?
Well, Lee, you still got that Homer drop ready? I'm going over.
Homer.
43 wins. 43 wins exactly. They will be worse than last year. I am not fired up about the Bulls right now. They basically brought back everybody, like you're saying, which generally is a good move, I think. They saw the Brooklyn Nets get swept in the first round of the playoffs last year and said, we need the 7th and 8th man from that team. And that's basically it. We've already heard that Lonzo's going to be missing the start of the season. Don't really know when he comes back, and he's such a huge piece for the Bulls. He takes them from a good competitive team that would be clawing for the play-in tournament, trying to stay in the 6th seed, to a team that's actually dangerous because he just juices the offense so much with the hit-ahead passes. He's their best defender size-wise. He's their best defender in the passing lanes.
Three-point shooting.
Three-point shooting. He's Draymond-like in the intangibles he brings to the Bulls. They can get that from other players on the roster, but they can't get that all from one guy. So you're kind of like choosing, do you want defense? Maybe we'll go with Caruso. Maybe we'll go with a little bit more size and Ayo Dosunmu. I'd really like to see a big season from Patrick Williams. I know they just picked up his 4th-year option, which is smart, but he needs to do more than just be out there. He's looked a little bit more aggressive, and Big Vooch got to have a better season this year. He was maybe the Bulls' best player in their first preseason game, so I'm feeling good about that. I'm not as excited about the Bulls in the direction they're going that I was last year, but I think they'll still be a solid team. They still got 2 All-Stars in DeRozan and LaVine's healthy again, so that's good.
They brought in a champion as well. Costas. 2020 NBA champ, Antetokounmpo.
I forgot about the long-term Antetokounmpo plan.
Yeah. Look, I actually think this is a regular season team for me. I think with what you saw from DeRozan last year, when things get close at the end of the games, he can finish them. And you know, if him and Zach are healthy for most of the games, I think they can hit that over mark. I just don't see the Bulls as a serious contender, though. I just think they were like they were last season, made the playoffs and basically got smoked by the Bucks. I think there was 5 in the end where the Bucks forgot to play one game there because when they turned it on, it wasn't even close. So little surprised that it's 3.5 games lower than what they won last year. I've got them pegged at around that sort of 45, 46 wins because I just think this team is one of those ones that they've got enough players that are going to make you work in the regular season that it's not going to be an easy victory against the Bulls. You're going to have to play tough. So I've got them going over. I think they'll be fine, but I don't see any reason to think they can be any better than they were as terms of getting closer to a championship than last season.
Yeah, I think Lonzo Ball is just big for this team, and it's the injury doesn't sound good.
No.
When he said, I can't run, I can't jump, and he's had setback after setback, plus his Pelicans injury history. He doesn't play full seasons. The highlights of him last year in the first half were incredible defensively. And I didn't like the look of that first preseason game, Trey. If we're going to get deep into the first preseason, the D doesn't look good.
Dyson Daniels cooked him.
Yeah.
No.
No vacuum pun? What's up? Not in preseason form, my man.
Yeah, it's better when he plays bad.
Yeah. Because
Dyson sucks.
Yeah.
He's good. It's too good. Yeah.
There's some weird stuff, and reading about it from Darnell Mabry, Billy Donovan's messing with the offense. He's putting boxes on the offensive side of the court. You have to stand outside. These are the places where you have to stand are these boxes, and they're outside of the arc. No one's going in the arc. Like, why are you messing with the offense? Just let.
Because they couldn't score.
I know, and they're trying to get more out of Vooch.
No shooting.
But who knows what happens with
three-point
Patrick
shooting.
Williams? There's just too many questions to me. You don't know what they're going to get on offense. Let DeMar be DeMar. Let Zach be Zach. But now you're messing with messing with the offensive end, and I'm not excited about the defensive end. It's about a 500 team, but I'll go with the under, especially just coming off so many overs in the Atlantic. That's that's what's happening.
Well,
to me.
and the Bulls last year went like 1-14 against the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Your Miamis, your Bostons, your Milwaukees, and your Philadelphia. 1-14 is pretty wild, and that's including like a really, really strong start. They were just like taking care of all the sort of average teams or crappier teams, but struggled against the best. I'm gonna go just under. But I would be looking at this team differently if Lonzo was like ready to go, fully healthy, because I'm with Trey. He's one of those like just so important to them on both sides. But I'll go just under on the Bulls. Cleveland Cavaliers, 46.5. Traded for Donovan Mitchell. That caught everybody by surprise. They did sign Ricky Rubio. He's back. Currently still injured, if I have that correct.
Yeah.
I don't know when he'll actually be back on the floor, but 3 years, $18 million. Neto, Robin Lopez for jokes. Signed Garland to the big extension. So 46.5. I mean, this was a really this was Tass's team last year. He loved them. Surprised a lot of people. Now there are expectations. What do you feel about the line?
Pretty good. I think they are a bit of a Cinderella sort of team. People want this team to be good because they were easy to fall in love with last year. They played fun basketball. Garland was great. Mobley was fantastic. He's kind of injured at the moment as well.
Yeah.
They think he probably will be good to go, but a little bit of a concern there. I like the Donovan Mitchell trade. It improves them. It doesn't sort of vault them up the standings, but certainly he's an improvement over Colin Sexton, who was injured and wasn't really a part of their future. And then Lauri Markkanen as well wasn't really a part of what the Cavs are doing here to be successful like they were last season. So, look, the asterisk of like health affects every team. But if this team can stay on the floor, and if Darius Garland can take another step up this season, I think they are a pretty good team. So last year, of course, they lost to the Atlanta Hawks in the play-in tournament there, finished with 44 wins, 46.5. That tells me people also believe in this young team. Touch high though. I'll take him at about 46 wins, so I'll take him at just under.
I swear, like every over/under, you always like generally just a half under.
Well, it's like Shark Tank, you think they're in and then they're out at the last second there. But I think this is a very good. I think this team should be a good team, pretty tough team.
I think like the Hawks when we get to them in the final division, but it's like. They have a new guard, a new star guard. Murray, obviously, with the Hawks pair with Young, and then Mitchell here to pair with Garland. It's like, are they going to click right away? Or will that take some time to find a rhythm and cohesiveness there to figure it out? Like, ball dominant guards. So, like, they have to figure out how to play with each other. And maybe because with the defense behind them, they're okay right from the jump, but they might start slow, and that's fine. No one should freak out. Like, have you heard Kobe Altman, Cavs GM? Like, he is like completely downplaying expectations. And he's trying to. He's like, I don't want anyone to think that this year we have to be in a contention or bust. That's not what this is. This is a real runway here for these guys to grow together, learn how to play together, get better each year, and grow to hopefully some more exciting basketball. Like, he is like, don't think we're going to the conference finals, right?
We suck.
Yeah, but that's smart. That's the way to do it. But will they fall into 47 wins because of talent?
I'll be the alt man to Kobe.
Okay.
Raise the expectations. Raise them. They're
boy.
great. Who cares if Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland don't mix? They weren't that good offensively last year anyways. They're 20th in the league. Nobody wants to play this team. And they got to 44 wins with all those injuries. I think this is a 50-win team. This is a team built for the regular season. You don't want to go into the lane with Jared Allen and Evan Mobley there. Nobody wants to go in there on a Tuesday night in Cleveland. Nobody. So I think this team should rack up some defensive wins, and then they suck up every stinking rebound. Robin Lopez is going to teach Jared Allen his hook shot. I think there's too many rocks on this team, too many level-headed guys, led by Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell for them to fall off. Mobley, Jared Allen, Darius Garland, I think will bring in Donovan Mitchell well. The 44-win team is just going to go up. I think Karis LeVert gets one more crack at being good. I think he'll help off the bench. He'll be better at that than Rubio, Love, Cedi Osman. I think they're deep. And I think their top-end talent in Mobley is going to get better, along with Darius Garland. These guys are young guys. Mobley in his second year, he got better in the offseason, creating his own. I'm buying it. And, the gelling part is fair, but again, I think the D is there. This is a team that nobody wants to go up and try and score on. So that's where regular season wins come from. I got the over. I think they can be a 50 flirter for sure.
You were listing all those players. I thought you were going to get to Dean Wade.
Dean.
Thought you were going to get to Dean Wade.
Dean.
I had him on the list, but I resisted.
Drop a Dean. Don't feel bad about dropping a Dean. We tweeted out earlier, who's the most random Eastern Conference player who's going to be referenced on this episode? Because no doubt we're going deep. Sexy_Swicky suggested it might be Dean Wade. And I was like, yeah, you actually might be right, because we could see some serious Dean Wade minutes for the Cavs. They don't have a lot of depth on the wing. That's probably the one area of concern for them. They need a big season again from Kevin Love, which he was awesome last year, but he was not awesome the couple of seasons prior to that, so we shall see. I think the comparison is exactly right, Skeets. 46.5 wins is the same line for the Cavs and for the Hawks. And the whole time I'm prepping for this, I'm like, who's going to be better? Who's going to hit the over here? Who's going to hit the under? I'll take one for the over, one for the under. And then I just wimped out. I'm going over. I'm going over for the Cavs, 47 wins. I'm going over for the Hawks, 47 wins.
Geez,
you can finish with the same record in the NBA, it turns out.
Hey, this could be the year where we have like in the final night of the season, like 4 teams that are like the exact same record.
Yeah.
And we don't know. It's our worst nightmare because we got to get ready for the playoff previews and stuff like that when we don't know the matchups, like basically right before they're going to go. I could see that happening where it's like 46, 47, 48 wins, whatever it is, maybe even 49. We might have 4 or 5 teams with damn near identical records.
That kind of was it though last season too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think there was like 3 or 4 teams in a glut there of like 48 and 34 if I remember correctly. Yeah.
Okay. So you're going just over. I'm going to go under. Just for no real reason except I think they might. There's expectations now as much as Kobe Altman wants to downplay that, and they do have to figure things out. And I'm not worried about the wing position. Like Okoro, I think is fine as like your 5th guy, and then they have all some of these guys you guys mentioned that can slot in there off the bench. So
even
they're
mention
going to be
Lamar
good.
Stevens.
I just think there's still a tier below a lot of these other teams we were talking about,
fair.
and so that means they're going to lose to some of them. So I'll go just under, just to for the record, okay?
Yeah, are we going to subscribe to mangameslost.com? Because they do the best job of giving us the information, how many injuries these teams had and how many games lost, because they won 44 games, and I know every team has injuries, but they had a lot of injuries. Basically everybody was injured on that team. So,
well, Rubio was a tough loss. Jared Allen obviously missing a good chunk of time.
And Sexton was out.
Sexton was out.
Yeah. No.
Mobley was out, and they still recovered for 44 wins. They're going to be all right.
Put it that way, and I'll add to that, now I'm talking myself into the over, like the whole thing with them was, okay, their defense keeps them in games. They stay around. Yeah. And then it's like, crunch time. Garland was their only answer. Like, it was like, Garland, save us.
Yeah.
Like,
and they tried LeVert, that didn't work.
Right. And that's no knock on Mobley. The guy was a rookie. He's obviously a big, but it was like, Garland, can you get us a basket or get to the line or something? Now you had Mitchell, like, holy crap. Now you got 2 of those
but
guys.
Mitchell wasn't good in 4th quarters for the Jazz.
No, but you're going to take Mitchell over anyone else.
Of course, but
like,
I mean, it's not like he's just going to walk in there with this like deep bag of game 4th quarter victories. I mean, he was actually terrible in 4th quarters for the Jazz. So
okay.
I'm just saying
right.
that was one of their big problems. I mean, he shot bad, he turned the ball over, so he looks like he feels like he's a better player. He feels like you want it in his hands, but that reputation that he's a closer is not valid.
I like the idea of having 2 of those guys where you at least trust with the ball to make something happen, though. So I'm going to stay under, though. Detroit Pistons, 29.5. They finished the year strongly. All right, guys. They started 12-45, which included an 8-game losing streak at the end of that, and then they went 11-14 in their final 25 games. I mean, Cade Cunningham had a really slow start, and then suddenly everyone's like, ooh, is he going to somehow win Rookie of the Year? It was a little too late, but they got Jaden Ivey there with the 5th pick, Jalen Duren with the 13th pick. They still have Kemba Walker, which is weird. Cool. Traded for Alec Burks, traded for Nerlens Noel. They signed Kevin Knox, Rodney McGruder. Marvin Bagley got the bag.
Hey.
Yeah, Rodney McGruder.
That's
That's
guy.
yeah.
I mean, that's an even deeper cut, I think, at this point than Dean Wade.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
There's a Buddy Boeheim on their roster, two-way player. Boeheim.
So, do you believe in the Pistons 30 wins or more?
I'm excited for their future, obviously. Very excited. The 11-14, good, but also during a time of the season when teams don't take things extremely seriously. So this is all on Cade's shoulders. As much as I'm excited for Jaden Ivey shooting 6 of 9 in his first preseason game, or Jalen Duren seems like he's a steal of the draft. If Cade explodes, it's an over. But Cade showed his incredible bag the second half of the season. I think teams will focus on him, and so if they take him away a little bit, then this is an under. I obviously love this team, but it's all on Cade's shoulder to get to 30 wins, which doesn't seem like a crazy mark, but I'm taking the under because I think teams will take him away, and I'm not sure these other guys are experienced enough to take advantage of it, but I'm excited for them, that's for sure.
Yeah, we did a show a while ago, I think, and the Pistons are only at 23.5, I think, weren't they?
Is that right?
Yeah, and they've jumped already, so someone in Vegas knows something. One thing I will say about Dwayne Casey's
Maybe it's
time in Detroit,
Bojan.
I feel like that team's always played hard. Even when they haven't had the personnel. And so, again, if they can stay on the floor, I think you're going to get that. So to go from 23 to 29 wins, it is a big leap for a team that, it made some nice moves, didn't make that huge sort of upgrade move there. But I think if they can just stay in games, then they can probably sort of sneak up a little bit on teams. I think they're still going to be overlooked largely by the rest of the NBA. So give me the over. Give me 30 wins for the Pistons this year.
Okay.
Sure, why not?
I feel like we were comparing, like, or at least Vegas sort of like Cavs or Hawks. Which one do you sort of believe in more? I feel it's like the Pistons or the Magic. It's like, which one of those teams that was like at the bottom of the conference, which one do you see like maybe getting into play-in contention? Which one do you have more faith in? That's how I'm looking at it, at least. I know their lines are a little bit different, but 30 wins?
Not a chance.
No way?
Way too high. I'm definitely going under. They're going to be an exciting, fun-to-watch team. They'll be better. They will look the way they're supposed to look, like the future of the Detroit Pistons, but they are going to want to have a chance at those top draft picks as well. Every team, basically when I see a team now that has a 20 and they're over under, I'm going to go under because you want a chance at one of those top two guys. So that's it for me. 23 wins last year. They haven't won 30 or more games since the 2019 season. The Pistons just aren't totally ready to win right now. They're going the right way for sure. They're going to be an exciting league pass team, but putting up W's, I'm a little skeptical about.
Yeah. Okay. I totally feel like I'm overestimating the good teams and underestimating the bad teams. I'm with you. I think there's just this huge gap between the good teams. A lot of overs for me with the good teams, a lot of unders with me for the bad teams. So is there just going to be this huge drop-off from the 8 seed to the 9 to 15 seed? That's what my thinking is as well. Go under, get out of it. It's a little like baseball. You got your haves and your have-nots, and I think there's going to be some of that. Because you want to be bad. Yeah. And the Pistons, even though they're, 1 through 5, you're starting Cade and Ivy, and then Bojan's your small forward with Sadiq Bey there, and Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren. You're starting to talk yourself into it, but not this year. It's too soon, I think.
I don't know. I feel like the Pistons might be better than your Hornets, your Pacers for sure, possibly your Magic, I guess. Maybe even the Wizards. So 30 wins? Give me the over. Come on, Dwayne. I mean, hey, 4 wins against the Raptors right there.
Yeah, that's a good
so
point.
they only need 26 more against all the other teams.
And they'll play probably the Pacers 4 times and maybe the Wizards as well. So there you go. They're halfway there.
Yeah, okay. I'll take just the over for the Pistons, which would be a great year. And I'm excited to see Cade Cunningham in year 2. Like we said, like Scotty Barnes, Mobley, Cunningham. The sophomore slump is a thing too, though. Tatum comes to mind. I don't think he had a great second year there. So maybe it'll happen for one of these guys. But Cade looks awesome. Okay, Pacers 24.5. Trey, get us started. I know where you're going because you already told us if it's got a 2 there in the front, hit the under.
I lied. I'm over.
What? What are you doing?
This guy.
What an idiot. What an idiot. Over on the Pacers? Only because I think they'll accidentally win too many games until they trade Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. Doesn't feel like it's happening quite yet. If it happens before the season starts, going under for sure. But as soon as those two are traded, this is a contender for worst team in the league to me. Tyrese Halliburton will be worth watching. Benedict Mathurin, cool to see what he's going to be able to pull off. Chris Duarte, some people like him. But it all comes down to when they actually move their veterans to me. I'm assuming we're going to see Buddy and Miles hanging around for a little bit. Maybe that gets them to 25 wins. But, I mean, I think when it comes to the end of the season, we'll be talking about the Pacers amongst the worst in the league.
Yeah, this is a pretty rough outlook for the Pacers right now. Very international team. You've got someone from Georgia in Gogo Batadze. You've got Buddy Hield from the Bahamas. Then you've got 4 Canadians, a German, someone from Lithuania as well. So
someone.
Well, his name is.
Oh, I love the way someone puts the ball up on the
Here we go. We're gonna set. This is gonna be the new. Holy crap! This guy was
a deep cut.
Go ahead.
Davidas Sirvidis, I believe. 6'8", shooting guard.
You couldn't pick him out of the lineup.
Yeah, 4 Canadians. Andrew Nembrard.
the second
Nembrard, Benedict Mathurin. I remember seeing his highlights on the draft night.
Who's the fourth?
O'Shea Brissett and Chris Duarte.
Chris Duarte gets it.
Oh, I always forget he's Canadian.
Yeah.
Sort of Canadian.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, he's Canadian. Is he Haitian? No.
Dominic?
Yeah.
Aren't you looking at it?
No, well, it's just got his flag here. So
okay.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Expecting a big third-year jump for Davidas Servidis?
I am. I mean, the first 2 years have been rough. This is his opportunity. No, but honestly, I mean, like, he might play. Who knows on that team? That's the thing. They want to try to cash in on Miles Turner. If they can, he's their strongest asset. And Buddy Hield is after that.
Yeah.
And then if you're Tyrese Halliburton, you're like, Jesus, man, what am I doing here?
Nah. Tyrese Halliburton, go get your crazy stats this year. Be the man on a very bad team, and then Trey probably, said it, like,
see if you can get out.
You're going to maybe get an incredible player if you can get one or two. But other people think there's a very incredible draft where the third and fourth best player might be awesome. So I don't think Halliburton's going to be freaking out. He's got to know the plan here is to be garbage. They were 6-21 at the end of the year. I mean, they were garbage last year. And they got a pick in the Canadian.
Yeah.
So he might be a talent there. So I think they're going under.
Yeah.
I'm locking hard on this one. And I think Turner and Hield, of course, will be traded before the deadline. Trey makes a good point. They're going to try and build up their value even more, and they win some games.
That's a little of the Jazz East.
The thing is, like, they're not that great. Where, like, even if Turner and Hield are playing, it's not like, they're unstoppable. So I'll take the under on this one pretty comfortably. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league.
I'm with you. They usually go for it. They try and be a team that contends, and they're finally waving the white flag hard. Who's their second or third best player when Miles Turner inevitably gets traded, or Buddy Hield inevitably gets traded? Probably a rookie in Benedict Mathurin. So they're going to be bad.
Okay. Everybody got their over-unders in there, right? Okay. The Milwaukee Bucks, 53.5. Here's another 50-plus win team, according to BetMGM. Task, get us started. They didn't do a whole lot, they re-signed a lot of guys. Portis, Carter, Wesley Matthews, your boy, Baca, Nwara. They signed Joe Ingles. He's injured, hoping he can give them something at the end of the year, maybe in a playoff run. And Pat Connaughton got signed to a contract extension. So same squad with Middleton, in theory, back healthy. Are they over 53.5 wins?
I go under, even though they're a championship contender. I don't think they care about the regular season at all. It's a little bit like the Clippers. They won 51 games last year. 53 the year before that when you adjust for 82 games. So I think they're going to continue to be a 50-win team. They don't want it. They don't want it.
Gunning for the number one spot.
They don't want what happened last year with Chris Middleton getting injured in the playoffs. Chill, baby. They could be a 4 or 5 seed. They don't care. I don't think they care at all.
I just think the Giannis factor puts them over. I just think he's such a competitor that I agree they don't. Their emphasis is not on the regular season, although they would have liked home court in the second round last year because it ended up costing them against the Boston Celtics. And Bud is a very good regular season coach. He gets his teams to win 55, 60 games. I think the Bucks are the best team in the Eastern Conference, and Giannis is basically entering that super. He's at the height of his powers physically. He's confident. He wants another championship, of course he does, another MVP. So I can sort of see if he's on the floor for 82 games, the Bucks are just going to win 57 games and go over. Now, that's just because he's so good and he's so dominant. I like Milwaukee. Give me the over.
Trey?
I was strongly considering the under. I agree with everything you said, Lee. Like, Giannis is the best guy in the league coming off of an international tournament, so he's going to be just picking right up where he left off. And you're right, the Bucks are not focused on regular season wins the way they used to when they were winning the 1 seed. But they won 51 games last year, and Brook Lopez only played 11 games.
That's a big part.
They're 14th in defense, and we know the Bucks are better than a middle-of-the-road defense. So I assume if Lopez is able to play half the season, they'll be in the top 10 again. And that kind of defense with an MVP candidate, you should be able to win 54. I'm going over.
I'm going over as well. If Giannis is playing in 80% of the games, I'm like really scared of Giannis this year if I'm any other team. And, I like the idea of like, given all these guys in Portis and Carter and stuff like that, some money here, some deals. They've earned it. Like, come on, let's go to war here. So I think they'll just make the over. So everything you're saying sounds right, Tass, about the idea like they don't really care. But if those guys, especially their three main guys, and then the depth they have, and they are well coached, like then that just is a 55-win team right there. Like
I did forget about the Brook factor. They
only played like 17 games. Is what you said?
I think 11.
11. Jesus.
Maybe I wrote that wrong.
Yeah, he's pretty instrumental.
No, he came around real late.
Yeah. Okay. That's the Central Division. We got one more division to do.
13 games.
Oh, you're way off.
11 starts.
Oh,
Those are the only ones I was focused
you only look
on.
at
You're looking
GS.
into GS.
If they're bringing him off the bench, it doesn't count.
That's right. We'll take one more break. When we come back, we will tackle the Southeast Division.
Oh, the best division.
Oh, yes.
Have you been waiting until fall to really start dressing? Then you're in luck, because it's fall, and Indochino is bringing the heat with their fall collection, featuring new colors and premium fabrics. Now that it's fall, you can wear your Indochino to the mall or to the ball. You can shop their made-for-you suits starting at just $449, or you can peep their custom-fitted shirts, casual wear, outerwear, and more. Indochino even lets you make any suit a tuxedo if you're really in a fancy mood. I didn't understand how this works, so I went on the website, and there's literally a button on every suit's page that just says make it a tuxedo. And you'll never guess what it does.
Wow.
Click it, boom, you got a tuxedo. You thought you were looking at a suit? Not anymore, sucker. You can design your perfect suit or tuxedo with Indochino. To get $50 off any purchase of $399 or more, use promo code NODUNKS at Indochino.com. That's INDOCHINO.com, promo code NODUNKS.
Our final division when it comes to the over-unders, it's the Southeast. We start with the Atlanta Hawks. 46.5 is the win total, according to BetMGM. So, Tass, get us started. What do you do with the hometown Hawks, man?
You guys are swaying me back and forth over this number. It's a good line. But I think this team is a lot more talented and just fits a lot better with the addition of DeJounte Murray. He's just going to complement Trae Young so well in that backcourt. Trae Young is not going to have to guard the best guard on the team. DeJounte's got that. Bogdan Bogdanovic, perfect spot now off the bench as a sixth-man fireballer instead of starting beside Trae. And you're going to ask less of the front court in DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, and Clint Capella. So I think they'll be better. And then the bench is it's deeper. If you want to mention guys, I'm going to mention
You got a couple holidays for me?
Oh, I left him off. I didn't want to go that deep. I'm going Frank the Tank.
Yes.
Frank Kaminsky.
Yes!
God
Yes!
I mean, Bogey is important. Onyeka Okongwu is important. And then other guys fill in. Your holidays, your Kaminskis, and Duke Shooter, AJ Griffin. So that's it. I think they're pretty deep.
If I don't see Frank Kaminsky in Atlanta at a brewery this fall, I'll be pissed.
Remember that?
If I don't run into him, I'm saying.
I've got so many questions I want to ask him about Lyle, Illinois. You ever go to
There you
Burrito?
go.
You ever go to the Squirrel Cage, Frank? Get a frozen pizza from behind the bar?
I bet he did.
Yeah, well,
To all
definitely
of
he
that.
did, yeah.
We didn't ask Miles Plumlee. Miles Mason. It's
It was
Plumlee.
Miles, yeah,
it was
it was
Miles.
Miles, yeah.
Played with the Hawks.
Yeah.
He walked right by us when we were sitting at a restaurant. It's sort of a winery, that place. He walked right by. No one talked to him, really. It was just a, hey Mason, Miles.
Hey, what's up, Plum Dog?
Plum Dog.
Just plum dog.
But we'll make up for it when we see Frank the Tank.
So you're going over because
Yeah.
you think that fit.
That's a good fit. 1
Murray
through
and Trae
8,
Young.
9. It's a solid team.
Can they play defense? That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Murray should help. And man, and if Hunter plays and goes to another level, Murray, Hunter, Capella, Okongwu off the bench. This should be that's three guys that are pretty damn good defensive players. With Trae Young, your offense is always gonna be fine. If Trae Young's on your team, he's like Curry that way. Like you're gonna be basically a top 5 in my opinion. Just play defense and you probably get 47 wins. But I'm not convinced.
Yeah, it's such a big question for the Hawks is whether or not they can play. And I just wonder if Okongwu actually forces his way into sort of Clint Capella's role, because I think they really like him.
Yeah.
And then Capella becomes a bit of a trade chip. I'm not sure how much you get for him, but they need, I think, his athleticism, I think, is what they like there. Look, DeJounte Murray improves him, no doubt about it. But does he improve him to that 47 win mark? I'm not sure. I'll take the under 43 last year. I think they
started slow.
They did.
Last year.
17 and 24 through the first half of the season.
And they've done that 2 years in a row now, where they sort of finished strong.
Yeah, they fired their coach the one year.
Yeah. And
last year it was what kickstarted them last year? Was it they just decided? Cause remember there was a talk we went to the conference finals.
Yeah.
Trae Young said it was boring.
Yeah, boring.
That's right. The regular season's boring in his third season there. I like Atlanta. Look, John Collins is a very interesting one as well. They've basically tried to trade him in the summer, couldn't. He's come back now. I think I'm a believer in John Collins. I think he's a very impactful player for that team, but maybe Travis Schlenk in the front office is still trying to dangle him out there to somebody else. The Hawks are good. But I don't know. I just don't quite get a real solid feel until I see DeJounte Murray out there playing and how he impacts that team. So give me the under, but they should be a sort of 45-win team.
He's bringing the two. Didn't you see him with Paolo Banchero out in Seattle?
Oh, yeah, I
did. Summer, getting into it, faking him out left and right. I can't wait to see what the Hawks look like. It is going to be strange to see them with two ball-dominant guards, but Murray lives in the passing lanes. The Hawks never force turnovers, so that should be helpful. The Hawks finished second in the league in offense last year. They've got an incredible offense. Trae Young led the league in points and assists. Totals. So they're going to be good offensively. The problem, obviously, was on the defensive end, where they were in the bottom 3 in the league. If they get to 20th in defense, that's not a huge ask, but it makes you a super competitive team. They just got to take the season seriously from opening night, and if they do that, I'm going to go over. But, man, that's a perfect line right there. 46 wins feels almost ideal.
I know. What do you think about this? Jeff Schultz wrote at The Athletic, the Hawks gave up a ton in the Murray trade, so much that if they're not back in the conference finals this season or even next, the trade should be considered a failure. Is that sort of like the bar in the next 2 years after the Murray deal, giving up a lot? Mm-hmm. Is that fair? I mean, it caught me by surprise, if I'm honest. But maybe that's just being an Atlanta sports fan.
Yeah. I mean, look, they sort of snuck into the conference finals that year. That was ahead of schedule. But then last season, they just made it into the playoffs and then got smoked by the Miami Heat. So you think they're better than they were last season, but probably not quite as good as the year before. But you just want to sort of see them now, okay, again, not get off to a terrible start. Be sort of competitive early on and see if they can sort of be competing for a top 4 spot in the East. I think that's where they need to be right now, because then that's Boston, Milwaukee, Miami, the Raptors. Philly, yeah. Are they better than 2 of those teams? Probably not right now. Maybe they could be, but I don't think so right now.
Okay.
They gave up their future. It should propel them to another level. It's sort of like the Bulls. That they gave up a lot of their future for everything they got, and they could be a middle of the pack team. The expectation should be conference final. Now, they're sort of like a top heavy team. They just don't have a lot more to trade now. I guess Collins, I suppose, but then you're getting worse. Mm-hmm. So if you give up your future, you want to be better.
So you're under.
I'm under. Yes.
You are.
I'm going over.
And Trey.
Minuscule over.
I'll go minuscule under. I'll go with Lely. Just under. Charlotte Hornets, weird team. 36.5. Trey has started on the Hornets.
Talk about a weird team. I got to go under on this. They lost their leading scorer with everything that happened with Miles Bridges. Don't need to see him back. They've got LaMelo, which is still good. Probably their second best player is Terry Rozier or Gordon Hayward. And then after those guys, it might be Mason Plumlee walking down the belt line. We don't say hi to his brother, but you might say hi to Mason because he's one of the 5 best players on the Hornets.
I thought he's a Utah Jazz now.
Yeah.
Is he?
Didn't you? I think you shared the photo of
That's Cody Zeller.
Yeah, no, but... hang on.
Oops.
Come on, you guys are mixing up Zellers and Plum Dogs now?
Well, they're all brothers.
Oh, my God.
That was my mistake.
Yeah, Mason Plumlee's still there.
Yeah.
He's going to be the starting center.
Quite forgettable.
Ugh, what a gross off-season for them. I mean,
It was brutal. They drafted Mark Williams.
Yeah.
They re-signed Cody Martin for 4 years, $31 million fine. They signed Dennis Smith Jr. Steve Clifford is back.
yeah, because
as the
Kenny
coach.
Atkinson said yes, but then he said, actually,
Right?
yuck,
And then
no
Trey,
thanks.
of course, brought up Miles Bridges,
Yeah.
charged this summer with 1 felony count of injuring a child's parent and 2 felony counts of child abuse. He pleaded not guilty, and they're sorting that out legally, of course. It was a horrible offseason.
It was bad.
Yeah.
Very bad, and it's still at 36.5 wins.
That's
Seems
way
high.
too high. Way too high. LaMelo Ball's good. He was an all-star, but he's not a sort of, he can win you 15 to 20 games by himself type of player.
What about with good Gord and PJ Washington?
If
the
Gord
Chevy
can even
Trax?
stay on the court, that's his big. They'll trade him in a second if they can as well. Maybe they get Westbrook. Maybe that's the deal. That someone decides to make that one happen. I would be. Look, Steve Clifford. They've tried it. It didn't work really with him. He's a good, solid coach, but
Gets them to play defense.
Yeah, but I mean, is that the best they could come up with after Kenny Atkinson left them? They said just bring back the other guy. I don't think this is going to be a very fun season at all in Charlotte. Other than LaMelo will give us some highlights. They'll be lucky to win 25 games, I think.
Whoa, way under.
Way under.
This guy's pounding the under. You're going under.
I'm reading about the Plumleys and the Zellers now.
Jesus.
That's the high point of the Hornets season. Talking about Plumleys and Zellers. That's my. I don't really care to. Even though you've got LaMelo Ball on this team, I'm not excited. Obviously, as you guys said, for all those reasons. If you want to talk yourself into the over, you say, "Oh, Gordon Hayward, former All-Star, he's on the floor," but he hasn't been healthy the last 3 years. And then there's a huge drop off. Terry Rozier and LaMelo Ball are going to be the backcourt, but who is their third best player? I guess it's a Plumlee or a Zeller. I'm not sure. Don't ask me. And then it's a Martin twin. I'm not excited about this team. I don't think they have good vibes in their locker room. I don't know why Steve Clifford came back for this, but I'm going under.
I will not be surprised if they start slowly and then suddenly LaMelo Ball picks up an injury to shut them down for a good chunk of time, and maybe they go, let's take a chance at Victor, and so that would be a fun pairing, him and LaMelo. I'm going under for sure on 36.5. Trey, you said you were under as well.
Big time under.
Oh,
Yep,
everybody's
yep,
big
yep,
time
yep,
under.
yep.
Okay, no.
Jordan doesn't like to lose, though. You tried to trade for Marc Gasol a couple of years ago. He's going to try and trade for somebody, I think.
Oh, yeah.
A big man, because that's where they have their serious problem.
Okay, the Miami Heat, 49.5 wins. So just under 50. They had the best record in the East, despite Butler, Bam, Lowry, Hero, all missing, significant chunks of time. You had Strus and Gabe Vincent and the other Martin, Caleb, emerging. And, they were not far away from going to the NBA Finals, Jimmy pulls up in transition.
One pull-up three away.
You never know. So what I'm getting at is obviously a damn good team.
Yeah.
Still rack up the wins with Spoelstra as their coach. They always find these diamonds in the rough. And here they are, maybe a little disrespected, I think, at 49.5. But what do you think?
I think so. I think they get to 50 just because they're going to be so tough. All those guys you mentioned, the vets, Lowry, Butler, etc., they're going to take probably 20 games off at least.
Right.
But you sort of feel with Miami that guys like Max Strus and Gabe Vincent last year who really stepped up.
Oladipo is still there.
Yeah. And whoever does play, they have that sort of Heat culture mentality. They play tough and they play very, very good defense and very good offense. Udonis Haslem is back again as well. Let's not forget that. They've got Hayward Highsmith on their roster. That's a fantastic name. So I just think from, history of the Miami Heat, the Eric Spoelstra teams, the Pat Riley mentality. I wonder if the Dragon has left his body from losing in the conference finals last year. Remember Pat Riley said that? The Dragon hadn't left his body about a month after the season there.
I thought you were talking about Goran Dragic.
Tyler Hero.
So confused.
Tyler Hero, he signed the big 4-year and $130 million the other day. So I like this team. I mean, I just think they're just going to be so tough at both ends. So I think they hit the over there at 50 plus.
Tass, Heat.
Yeah, people, I guess, aren't excited. The number dropped off, but I think Kyle Lowry is going to bring juice into that locker room. Pat Riley talked about Dragons, but he also said Kyle Lowry was fat. And that's essentially what he said. Now, Lowry, I think, is going to take that personally. He's got to come back in shape, and I think if he's leading every time down the court, along with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, they may miss PJ Tucker a little bit, but I think Tyler Hero will have a bounce back year. I go 50 plus. I think it's an over.
Trey.
This one I had a lot of trouble with because the Heat don't feel like a 50-win team to me. They barely got to it last year. They didn't replace PJ Tucker, who was a huge part of their team. So now their starting forward is probably Max Strus, who was great last year, looked pretty solid over the summer, but, Duncan Robinson once upon a time had a great season, and now he's basically out of the rotation. Other than that, Nikola Jovic is going to be getting minutes for them.
Yeah.
Great name. Not the MVP. We shall see how his NBA career plays out, but it's hard to pick against the Heat going over their line. They always go over their line. They're always a little bit better than you expect.
Yeah.
I'll go with exactly 49 wins, the under.
Ooh.
The under. The under.
Yeah. Will they be flirting with 50? Will they join that, I don't know, what could be 4 or 5 teams in the East with, 50 to 55 wins? I think so. I had forgotten how much time. Lowry's missing time because of family reasons last year. And there was some health issues with him as well, maybe not being quite in shape, being off of the floor so much. So if Bam, Butler, and Lowry are playing, Hero knowing his role, and they're still coached by Eric Spoelstra, that's, to me, is still a 50-win team. So I will go just over and take them with that. A couple more teams left. The Orlando Magic, 26.5. All right. They re-signed Gary Harris. Okay. Though he's got a torn meniscus. He's going to be out for some time. They re-signed Mo Bamba. They obviously had the number 1 pick in Banchero. What do you think about the Magic? Is this a year where they could make a step with Suggs and Wagner and Wendell Carter and Cole Anthony and what do you think?
Yeah, I mean they should have more wins than they had last year, which was 22. So I'm going to, and they've got the line there at 26.5. Yeah, I think they get to 28 wins. I'm interested to see some development and some growth there from especially Cole Anthony. I think he is a good player. I think he's got that right attitude and the mentality. He wants to go out there. He wants to get a few wins. Banchero should be good too from the start. I mean, he's probably, I don't know if he was the favourite before Holmstrom went down, but he's certainly in that top 2 or 3 guys. So he's going to get minutes. He's going to get opportunity there. And then, I mean, you've got those other guys. Jalen Suggs was hyped up, didn't really do all that much last season. So another season, basically I think teams are going to look at Orlando like maybe the Pistons last year and say, who cares? This is a win.
Yeah.
And they can
might
sneak.
Catch people by surprise
they can sneak with a few wins there. So Jamal Mosley, the coach, I mean, again, I think you're going to try to get these guys to play. They're going to have their eye, though, on the draft as well. So it's like if we can get another good player next season, maybe they don't want to win too much, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think they hit the over, but I don't really know, to be honest.
I guess that's true. A lot of stuff out there.
Trey?
I'm going to go under. I just think that the Magic were the worst offense in the league last year. Franz Wagner looked awesome playing in Eurobasket. Banchero's a bucket, so they should be a little bit better on that side. They were 17th in defense last year. Not bad for a pretty terrible team. Jonathan Isaac allegedly is going to be playing basketball again, but
right.
I don't think it adds enough wins for them to go over here. And like Lee's saying, when it comes down to it, Magic are still in rebuild mode, so they will be wanting to get some more good draft picks.
Haven't they been in rebuild since the Dwight Howard trade, like a decade ago now? I mean, I know they've made the playoffs technically, but...
Yes.
Yeah, true. Took a game off the Raptors there in the 2019
and took
run.
2 off the Bucks, didn't they, in the bubble down there? Is
that right?
1 or 2 anyway.
Yeah, it's been rebuilding for a while, though.
Yeah.
But,
with bigs.
this is a low line, Tass. 26.5.
They could surprise. They are the Detroit South here. That it's entirely in line, but I don't think they have the same top end talent as the Pistons do. But yeah, I'm a Franz believer. Maybe I say they don't have the top end talent, but these guys could surprise. And Banchero and Franz mainly is who I'm looking at. Franz was lining up Giannis in Eurobasket, no problem. Banchero, I believe in his confidence. He should get plenty of Rookie of the Year votes. I'm a little worried about what Jalen Suggs and Cole Anthony do in the backcourt. Are they going to let Franz and Banchero be Franz and Banchero? I hope so. I'm excited to see all these guys, plus R.J. Hampton, be, what they are, be what they can be. But I am not confident. I'm not confident at all. And yeah, it's a big ho hum when you look at the Orlando Magic number and what they've become, but. It's up to Franz and Banchero. I think they do have a pretty high ceiling, and Suggs needs a bounce back year here in year 2.
Yeah, this is tough because, well, it depends how you feel about Franz, and he is a great player, but their best player is a rookie probably in Banchero. right? I don't think
I mean,
that's
at worst, their second best player.
at least
Yeah.
they're second. Now they're helped out location-wise. The team's always got to come into Florida, got to play the Heat, and then you got to play the Magic. And like you talked about being overlooked, like maybe that plays in their advantage a little bit, and they pick up some sort of sneaky wins because of that. And people are excited about South Beach, and
right off
it
eating
happens.
that prime 112, you got to go play the Magic.
It's a goddamn great line because they're going to be right around there. I'm going to go over though. I think because I'm much lower on some of these other teams like the Pacers and the Hornets and a few others in the East. So 28, that feels 28 to 30 feels like I can't believe I'm going to say this, but like a good season for them if they're seeing flashes from Big Hero.
Like 10 more wins than they've had recently.
Yeah. So I'll go over on the Orlando Magic. I'm saying that out loud. Our final team here, it's not a crazy line either. It's the Washington Wizards at 35.5. I had forgotten, so shout out to Zach Harper and the great job he did with his recaps. Through the first 44 games last year, the Wizards had a winning record. They were 23-21. The defense was like excelling in the first part of the season. They were winning tight games.
Fourth quarter
It
coups.
looked like they were going to hang around for the play-in, and they fell out of that. And they did some things. They traded for Monte Morris and Will Barton. They drafted Johnny Davis with the 10th pick. They signed DeLon Wright. 2 years, $16 million. Taj Gibson, he's on the Wizards.
Right.
That's where he is.
Yes.
And they re-signed Bradley Beal to the 5-year, $251 million contract. So 35.5,
This is a team you can start talking yourself into being a decent team with all the vets. If you got Taj yelling at you down the bench, if you got DeLon Wright, his defense can rub off on you a little bit. Monte Morris picks up their point guard spot to like an average NBA point guard level, which is good. Beside Bradley Beal, I'm excited for Rui Hachimura. He had some personal issues coming into last season. He had some injuries. Breakout year coming in year 4. Maybe. I'm a sucker for him, though. I don't know if he's going to beat out Will Barton, Kyle Kuzma, Denny Avdia, who should play more than him. I just mentioned a lot of average guys. This team is average, and it screams average. But they can overachieve with Morris, Beal, and then Kuzma and Porzingis as your locks in your starting lineup. Remember, Kristaps Porzingis plays basketball. They can overachieve, but it's another one of those that they could definitely overachieve, but they can also underachieve and not have great chemistry. But
we don't even know. We haven't seen Beal and Porzingis really. We haven't seen them play in regular season.
Yeah.
He comes over and Beal's not playing. So
I take the over for some odd reason. I'm not sold on it, but I'll take the over.
Yeah, the line 35 last year, 35.5 this year. Vegas is like, we don't know. Let's just run it back from last season because they'll be better than I think teams like Orlando and Indiana and stuff, but they're not anywhere close to really getting any better than they were last year. Kuzma and Beal, the vets, they'll go out there and play hard, but they can win 35 games.
So under?
Yes, I guess technically under, but they're very uninspiring. I mean, just again, like I get why Beal wants the security of staying there, but what's the point at this point? Like, if you don't want to win and you just want the money, fine. But he should have moved on. I'm not inspired at all by this team.
Okay, so you're going just under.
I think that's what I ended up on. Yes.
Yeah. Trey?
I'm over for sure. 35 wins last year. Beal played 40 games. They only had Porzingis, P-E-R Zingas. They only had him for a handful of games at the end of the year. So, yeah, you listed a bunch of average guys, but the Wizards didn't even have average guys for the second half of last season. So I think beefing up the point guard spot with Morris, Will Barton's a solid player as well. One of their forwards should be able to play at least alongside Kuzma. I'm definitely over on the Wizards just because they don't really have an incentive to be bad, and they've got a lot of average players, so you'll probably be an average team.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm going just over on this line. I think Vegas wisely put it just low enough that I was like, if Beal and Porzingis are out there. Porzingis, like what? We can't lock in either of those guys being playing 70 games, especially KP. His history when it comes to injury. I just wish we could take Denny Avdia and Rui and like make them into one player. Be an awesome player.
It would be.
Because Avdia great defensively.
Very good.
Rui bad on that end, but he's a better offensive player than Avdia struggles with 3-point shooting and finishing and stuff like that.
Yeah, he had a bad year last year, but I'm believing in Denny too. He was balling in Eurobasket. Yeah. I know it's Eurobasket. He did fall off a little bit, but I'm a Denny believer. I guess I'm just a young guy believer. I don't know.
The guys they brought in, Morris, Barton, Wright, and even Taj Gibson, I mean, he's not going to play a ton, but like a locker room presence, and like he's not going to want to lose. That should help. I do like those moves.
It helps for the over-under win total. You re-sign Beal for $1 billion, whatever it was.
Yeah.
You should be able to get to 36 wins.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a great point. Okay, so that's 15 teams in the Eastern Conference. Now we got to pick our 3 favorites. Make some people some money. Don't bet on these. Okay, we don't know anything. Lee, you got to start it. What are your 3 locks when it comes to the over-unders in the East?
I got one over, the Bucks 53.5. Lock them in.
This guy loves Milwaukee.
I do love Milwaukee. I love Giannis.
Do you love bratwurst?
Yes, I do.
Do you really?
Yeah. Oh. If you get the right one, yeah.
Just there's one out there.
There's one
world?
specific one. Yeah.
Okay.
The Hornets.
The vegan one? The vegetarian
That's right. I forgot. I'm vegan.
yeah.
I'm vegan. Yeah. We had the international dinner last night actually at school. I brought along the meat pies because it's the kids love them.
Yeah.
And then I went to the Colombian side and I said, "What are these? Are they vegetarian?" He goes, "Yeah, it's potato." And I said, "Oh, great." Grabbed it, but he goes, "And beef." And I'm like, "Well, okay." Gracias, amigo. So Bucks over, Hornets under. Ugh, get off them at 36.5. No way they're hitting that. And then Brooklyn the same at under 50.5. Don't believe in the Nets. Take them under.
You're not going to be opening your third mind this year, eh? Third eye.
Third mind.
Yeah. Okay. So under on the Hornets, under on the Nets, over on the Bucks.
That's
According
correct.
to Lee Ellis. Those are his locks. Tass, what do you got?
Toronto Raptors, lock it in.
Oh, wow.
Over, baby. 46.5. Great regular season team. Philadelphia 76ers, I'm going over as well, 50.5. They're definitely a better team than that. I think they can be the 1 seed in the East. And hey, we just talked about the Washington Wizards. I'm going over.
Wow, that's your lock.
Yeah, I'm not excited about it, but I think Kristaps Porzingis, as Trey said, will have a good PER, and the geeks will start calling him Kristaps Porzingis. Good locker room. Good locker room. It's good for some W's.
Good locker room. All right, Trey.
All my locks were just chosen. I can't believe it.
That's all right. You can
I'm locking in the Philadelphia 76ers over. Okay. I'm locking them in as the 1 seed. I'm with you, Lee. Hornets under. I just think it has been, since their play-in game, it has been bad news for the Hornets. So give me the under on that.
Yeah.
And then I'm over on the Wizards as well. It's going to be a magical season in Washington.
Wow,
38 wins.
This is wild.
Magical.
Okay, I am locking in the Hornets with you guys as well. The under, no way I think they're winning 37 or more games, so I'll take the under. I think the Pacers are, rightfully, I want to point out, going to lean hard into being very bad to help their chances of a victor or a scoot. So give me the under 24.5 for the Indiana Pacers, especially after they trade Turner and or Hield. And then, I did this in the West with the Kings, saying the over. Whatever that line was, I took the over.
34.5, I think.
Yeah, something. It was low. You're right. It was pretty low.
30s.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna do it with the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference. Give me the over 39.5. So they will be a 500 team. That's what I got Tibbs having the Knicks at this year.
You shouldn't be able to take the over if they're still below 500 on the season. It should have to be at least 42 wins if you're taking the over.
Give me better odds. Then I'll do that. I'll make some coin on that. So Knicks over, under Hornets, under Pacers. I think they might. I think they might have the worst record in the league. That's what I'll be fake putting money on.
Fake money.
Yeah.
Fake putting money
Monopoly money. So let's hear from you guys. Oh, go ahead.
I can't believe this. I just looked up some Wizard stats here. You'll never guess who led the team in PER last season.
Did we even name him?
Say his name properly, please.
Porzingis.
Kristaps Porzingis.
Oh, geez.
27.7 on the PER.
Wow.
He was balling in Washington. All of us big Wizards fans here are feeling great about the season.
The Wizards fans are going to be like, why tank for Victor when we already have one?
We got the original unicorn.
The OG unicorn.
He grew a little beard over the summer, too.
Oh, Beardzingus?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. All right, those are our picks when it comes to the Eastern Conference over-unders. Let's hear from you. Everybody listening, tweet at us at NoDunksIng, or let us know in the comments below the YouTube video your 3 locks for those over-unders in the East. Later today, this is fun, at 1 p.m. Eastern, Is this good?
Wow, a lot of nudity.
Yeah, a lot of nudity.
Very sexual.
Very sexy. Is this
Wow.
Elon Musk was a streak.
good? We're talking about, is this good? Streaking or, running onto the field.
Yeah.
We're talking about cologne. Is that good? And couples massages. Oh my. And a whole lot more with Matty O asking the hard-hitting questions. It's Tass and I on today's Is This Good with Matt and JD. So that's 1 p.m. What's that?
A very erotic show. I mean, you might start massaging each other.
Do you think we
halfway
should have
through.
to do it
Yeah.
nude?
Why not? Why not? Is this good? It's only one letter you have to change. Is this? Oh no, it's not mood. It's nude. Yeah.
Nude, N-O-O-D. Okay, so that's coming up at 1 p.m. from the Classic Factory. Then, later tonight, it's a triple header day here in the Classic Factory. No bunts.
Yeah, we had a rain delay yesterday.
Yep.
Triple header today.
Wow. Do you know what time you're going live in theory?
Let's say 5 p.
Oh, wow. Oh, great.
Oh yeah, we're getting earlier. The playoff bracket is set. It's
Okay.
a playoff primer for all the casual baseball
like
fans.
that. I
Keeping
need
it
it.
casual. What's going on in the wild card series? And I'm going to force you guys to watch a game this weekend as well with me online.
Okay.
And we'll ask everybody else to watch as well.
Okay,
I mean
that's
that's the
exciting.
point. Everybody can watch with us. Watch some baseball. Pop some Cracker Jacks. Watch some baseball together. Why not?
Cracker Jack? I gotta find Cracker
You
Jack?
gotta find Cracker Jacks as well.
So yeah, what a day here from the Classic Factory. Is This Good at 1? No bunts at 5. Tomorrow, if you're a Survivor fan, go check out No Buffs, which has its own YouTube and podcast feed. That's at 10 a.m. Eastern, talking about tonight's episode of Survivor, episode 3. Get your picks in.
I saw Sean saying, lock your picks in right now.
Yeah,
call.
Better get 'em in.
I did mine this morning. So make sure your picks are in if you're a part of our No Buffs fantasy pool and make your picks. Everybody's getting their picks in right now. And then this is fun. On Friday, we're going to be releasing our film session podcast on the new Redeem Team doc.
Yes.
Which airs that day on Netflix. They hooked your boys up with the screener. What? So we'll be talking about film session. We'll drop that
Screener boys.
on Friday. Spoiler alert, it's a fun documentary. If you like basketball, if you like the Olympics, ooh, this is the movie for you. So that's coming up at the end of the week. Let's call it there, though. Till we see you later today, Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us, and remember, Kristaps Porzingis, once known as the unicorn, but now he's the GOAT because he shaved the sides of his beard. Now it's just a GOAT.
Brace the day, people.